welcome everyone to Jaden's Jam. I'm your host, Jaden Goss, and today we're talking about ANDOR Episode 7 Announcement. Wow, this show just gets better for me. I see a lot of people complaining about, how slow it is, that there's not a lot of action. This isn't Star Wars. And I just completely disagree with that. Like, this is the wars in Star Wars, but through a spy perspective. And, this was another just great episode, in my opinion. I loved the score. I don't know the name of the track or what instruments were playing, but whatever was happening as this episode was closing, like, might be my favorite track or notes that I've heard in this show. I don't know what it was, but just the rhythm, and I don't know, it's like Andor is he's very interesting character, especially in this first season. Him, not wanting to join the rebellion, and he just wants to survive, like most people. He just wants to get out from under the boot of the Empire. But I think, he's got to realize. I think he will. I think the way this episode ends, I think this might be the turning point for him, or he might have to lose someone in order to really, go full fledged into the rebellion. Which he does make good points about not wanting to join the rebellion. He thinks that it's useless, that uh, you don't have to join the rebellion to live, or like it's useless. You can't beat the Empire. Basically, is his like the how he operates right now. And so the best part of the show, I think, so far for me, has been his slow changing of his mind. But I'm starting to think, like, maybe that'll come by the end of this first season, is when he'll finally realize, like, yeah, maybe I should join the rebellion and help these people take take over, or destroy the Empire, like. And that's the I've said this, I think, in every review, but my favorite scenes are always the ISB. I don't know what it is, but this show writes the Empire better than any other Star Wars show we've seen on Disney Plus. I think this show feels realistic. These characters feel real. Um, they all have their own motivations. And we even see, it was a little surprising for me, but at the same time, when I think about it, it makes sense, logical sense. But the fact that Luthen, I don't know his assistant's name at the museum. I don't, I know they've said her name, but I just can't remember what it is. I'm still learning all these character names. Uh, it's hard for me sometimes. Um, but Luthen's assistant goes to Vel and is like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to tie up this loose end," and she's like, "Well, what is that?" And then she's like, "Yeah, you got to take out Cassian Andor. Luthen is fresh on his mind, and if he gets captured by the Empire, then he'll probably turn us in." Is basically what they think. And that was a it wasn't a shocking revelation or a shocking turn, because they're not wrong about, you got to keep everything tight-lipped as possible, because they're not at the point, the rebellion is not strong enough yet to completely reveal themselves. They don't have, at least it doesn't seem like, they don't have like a strong planet that they've taken over and rid the Empire from yet. The real war of Star Wars, of this era of Star Wars, hasn't begun yet. And so it's that I really feel like this show has the most complex side of the rebellion that we've ever seen. These are Luthen. His type of rebel is the kind that, if they have to, will take you out if you're not on their side. And it's not that Andor's against them. Andor just wants to live and survive in this world. He wants to get out from under the Imperial boot, as I said earlier. And Luthen has given his life to, you know, he's trying to start this rebellion. He's trying to defeat the Empire from the ground up. And so, it's not the kind of information you want to just be out there willy nilly. But I like that change, And this rebellion is just really complex because, I would consider all of these characters to be, quote unquote, good guys, because when you're fighting the Empire, you're probably a good guy. I mean, it's Star Wars is not usually that complex with morality and stuff. Usually it is just good versus evil. And so this is adding some complexity. I like the fact that even within the rebellion right now, there's all these cells that are going against each other, that it works really well in this show. But yeah, the ISB stuff, man, I just can't take my eyes off. Like I love the costume design, the white clothes they wear. This was the first episode where we got to see stormtroopers. Not that they did anything, but that's another token of great writing and what this show has built up is the stormtroopers only come in to a planet when they absolutely have to. And I like that choice. And I honestly felt I was fearful. I know Andor's not going to die, but these other characters we're not so sure are going to survive. If we don't see them in Rogue One or if we don't see them in a future Star Wars movie after that, and I mean timeline wise, not like upcoming movies. I mean like in A New Hope or whatever. Like if we don't see some of these rebel characters there, that probably means that they either die. Yeah, most likely they have to die or whatever. So when these stormtroopers are walking around in this episode, they're not they're not killing people yet, but I really felt some fear for the first time. When usually when stormtroopers show up, it's like, oh, there's the cannon fodder for the Jedi or the rebels, for Leia or Han to just mow down and they can't aim. I really have a feeling that this show will be different with how they portray the stormtroopers aim. I really do think that this show is going to maybe try and change that perception that, oh, stormtroopers can't aim, and that would be great. That would be great because they are kind of a joke. I mean, they have like cool designs, like they're iconic looking, like the stormtrooper armor is iconic, but the stormtroopers themselves are cannon fodder, and the whole joke is they can't aim. So I hope this show changes that. And there's some pretty horrifying stuff in this episode. The fact that it seems like Andor's father, Clem, which I don't know if they've said his name before, but I did not make that connection until this episode that he picked the name Clem after his dad, his fake name, for the earlier mission. I did not make that connection until this episode, but so I might just be dumb or they never mentioned his dad's actual name. Anyways, it looks like they cut it off before they showed anything, but it looks like there's a possibility his dad was just gunned down by like a firing squad. And that's another thing. There's so much tension on this show, and they build tension so well. Like the tension in that flashback scene where, his dad's trying to keep the peace. His dad is even telling him, hey, it's just Imperial troopers. All they're doing is just going to plant their flag. If we stay peaceful, then they're not going to kill anybody. And I liked that his dad seemed like he was just trying to keep the peace, you know. And when that dude threw that dirt or that rock or whatever at the stormtrooper and they turned around and they're just pointing their guns at them, man, this show just really shows how horrible imperialism and how horrible fascism really is with the empire. It is doing such a great job with showing the empire. You know, I never finished my thought, but the part of the ISB stuff that I like this episode a lot. I love that, you know, Deidre, obviously she's an imperial uh, agent. I'm trying to think of the word what she would be considered. So like she's definitely seems like a pretty bad person. You know, she's a part of the empire. They are usually bad people, even if they are a little complex like they are in this show. They're still working for the empire, which is evil. But at the same time, I did kind of like when she finally got one over on Blevin. You know, they've had this like feud, this little rivalry since she popped up, since she was introduced. And I like that she got a one up on this dude. You know, I also noticed, which I don't know if I had noticed before, but she was the only woman in that room. I was like trying to point out if there's any other women on that council or whatever they called, and that's cool. Like I didn't notice. You know, is she the only woman that's that high up? So that's another aspect. But I kind of was rooting for it in that moment, even though she's going against the heroes here. And that's what this show does so well, at least in from my eyes, is it does make you kind of see like a different side of the empire than we've seen before. You know, usually they are just bad guys, and it's interesting to see like how this show can make you root for one, you know. And that was just a great scene. I love Major Partagas. The idea that they got Kyburn to come in on this show to play an Imperial agent or whatever is great. He's doing such a great job, like acting. He just exudes Empire to me, and I love every scene he's in. The just his cadence, his acting is so good, and I just eat up every scene he's in. And we got an update on Cyril. He wasn't in the last episode, so we saw him again here. And this dude just looks like he's either on the verge of crying or he's on the verge of snapping and just murdering someone. Like he looks like he would be a mass murderer, like just right before he snaps. You know what I mean? Like he's on the cusp of just. I can't wait to see like his acting range, like when he really loses it. Uh, and he's got definite PTSD for sure, and he's definitely like you can see that those people that died on his watch, he actually cared about, and it seems like he took it really hard, which is good character writing. You know, these villains can still be villainous but have some kind of human emotion. You know, that's important to show because we're all human. And I like the fact that they've done that. But he just looks like he's always on the verge of crying, or like or he just wants to scream at people and he just never does. It's he's a very interesting character, and we saw that, you know, his uncle got him a spot in fuel efficiency or whatever in some corporate position. So, or well, he's a desk. He looks like he's working at a desk. So I guess he's not like in the corporate sector, but it looks like he got an entry level position is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. I can't speak. Um, and then we got Mon Mothma. Oh my god, dude! You talk about great dialogue. This is the best writing we've seen in Star Wars. Probably, I would even say better than Mandalorian, writing wise. Like this is strong dialogue. I love the scene with Mon Mothma and her friend, who again, sorry, there's all these new characters that they introduced in this episode that and they're not on IMDb yet. I'm recording this super early in the morning because this is my only chance to record it. So they don't have all the names up yet. So I apologize. But her friend from school, who is a banker, that scene where they're just talking and walking through, I love the directing of just following them from behind. Sometimes it'll show them from front. I just love the directing of this scene and them walking through. They're trying to have like a secret conversation that's deeper, but they're surrounded by all these Imperials. And I love that the banker's like, I don't know if you would like my politics, not knowing that Mon Mothma's one of the leaders of the rebellion that's rising up slowly. It's just a nice irony, and I was very curious if she was going to actually reveal that she was kind of behind Aldani, the Aldani robbery, but she didn't. But I love the dialogue in that scene, and I just it's God. This show is so good, guys. Like I do not get the hate. I understand though from the perspective of it is slow. I will give people that. But it's not boring to me because the dialogue is very interesting. The dialogue is really well written. The characters are really well realized, and we get all their motivations. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with Vel and Andor. I'm very curious to see, is he actually going to serve 6 years? Oh, one of the moments I loved and I felt the dread was when we got to see Senta. She's getting on a what looks like a speeder bike, and she sees we see that just the shadow for a second, and then when it reveals the star destroyer that's coming down on Aldani, that was just awesome. I loved it. It was so like this show shot on location, and you can tell it all looks so beautiful. I love the locations on this show because it doesn't feel fake like a lot of the other recent Star Wars stuff, and even going back to the prequel trilogy, which you know it's high budget, big budget, but at the same time you can tell they're all on a green screen for pretty much the whole time. So it's nice to see sets, it's nice to see location shooting. It just makes it feel more real and grounded in some kind of reality. I love the scene with Andor and his mom. That was a great scene. The fact that she's all in on the rebellion, and it's just so ironic because he literally just helped the rebellion in a mission, and he's still not at her development yet, where she's like all in on fuck the empire, go rebellion. And I was surprised that he didn't just tell her. I'm very curious why he didn't just say it. It's not like she's gonna tattle on him. She's obviously against the empire. So I thought that was an interesting choice on his part as a character, not to tell her, because I'm sure she'd be more proud of him than not. But again, this dude just is not there yet. He's not at the character. He hasn't come to the fact that, yes, the rebellion is important and we should support it and we should get more people to join it and I should join the rebellion. But he's not there yet. So I can't wait till he gets there. There was a short scene with him and Bix. It was cool. This episode was really nice because it just tied up some loose ends. It showed us where all the characters who are still alive that we've seen, where they're at, what's happening in the world, all the different planets we've already seen. It gives you an update on that. I think this was just a really nice breather for a second before it gets into the next little arc that they're about to go, the next 3 episode arc they're about to go on. The Tony Gilroy has already said that there's going to be another 3 episode arc like we've seen before. This one was interstitial, and then there's basically a 2-part season finale. Is basically how the next 5 episodes are going to go. In case people are curious how they're going to structure the rest of this show. But I love that. I love that scene with Andor and his mom. And the fact that he does get to a different planet, that was cool. He got to his his paradise. It looked like it was like a. It was cool seeing. I don't know if we've really seen like a beach resort in the Star Wars universe before. This one was on the planet Niamos. We didn't hear it said out loud, so I'm just assuming that's how you pronounce it. Uh, that was cool. We got to see some more of those shore troopers, which God, I love. I think Star Wars has some of the most iconic looking armor in any fantasy show, sci-fi show. Like they corner the market on cool looking armor for me. And the shore troopers just look really cool. I like that there's a distinction between the different stormtroopers. Like they don't all just wear the white costumes. Like they have different kind of armor. I thought for a split second that we were about to see K2SO. I got really excited, but it was just a KX unit or whatever they're called. And those things are terrifying. The fact that they just can like lift you up. I honestly think we haven't seen a more terrifying droid since probably like the droidkas. But I might just have that opinion because of the video games. Because droidkas were always a bitch to kill in the Star Wars video games. But the KX unit, I definitely think this is one of the best droids, strongest droids we've seen. I know I think there was that other type of droid in Solo that was like that could lift cargo units and stuff. That was also seemed like a really strong droid that you don't want to fuck with, and that's what these KX units are. And the fact that I like the ending of the episode. He's about to go to jail for 6 years. I'm very curious. If I had a prediction, I think what's going to happen is, he might get sentenced, but I think there's going to be a prison escape. Maybe Vel gets him out. I don't know why she would rescue him when she's sent there to kill him. I think Luthen might feel even more strongly about killing him once he sees that he's in jail. Just, if he's so paranoid about information getting out, that might change his opinion. So I'm very curious to see what happens next. Are we about to get like a 6-year time jump? I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm very curious. I'm wondering, how is Andor going to get out of this situation? Because we know he lives, but he could serve time. So yeah, I know I rave about this show every week, but I really have no issues with it. Like I love this slow burn, this really well written. It's all about dialogue. The characters are so well realized on this show. I loved this episode because it really felt like this is a way different show, but just stick with me here. This really reminds me of like a Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon type show where this episode followed Andor, of course. It's his show. He's the name. This show carries his name, so he's the lead character. But I love that, like House of the Dragon, you follow all these different characters too. And this is just I love it. I love it. It's different than any other Star Wars show we've gotten, and I think by the end of this, I wonder. I already really enjoy Rogue One. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Definitely Disney Star Wars movies. It's probably my favorite. And I'm just very curious. Like by the end of it's going to be 2 seasons. Very curious by the end of the second season how much so it leads up to Rogue One and how much stronger Rogue One is going to be after this show is done. I'm very curious, and just quickly going back, seeing that KX unit, I really got so excited for K2. So I cannot wait for K2 to show up. Like he's going to be a nice breath of fresh air. But that seems like, I think they said that's a second season thing, so it's not happening this season. But I got really excited seeing those Imperial droids. Man, I love this show. All right, I'm done. I'm done raving about it. Honestly, I have no issues with this show like I do, like I did with Rings of Power or She-Hulk. I really don't have many issues with this show. Anyways, so thank you guys for watching. Like this video. Comment below. Let me know what you think of Andor. All I ask is when you leave a comment, just be nice and respectful. Even if you completely disagree with me, all I ask is just be nice, respectful. Share this video if you like it, and please, I'm really trying to build up my subscriber count. I'm still growing this YouTube channel. You know, it's obviously not where I want it to be, but in order to get better, get better equipment, get a bigger range of viewers, I definitely need people to subscribe. So if you want to, please subscribe to this YouTube channel also. I'll have reviews for Andor for the next 5 weeks, so we got that coming. House of the Dragon has the finale this week. Trying to think if there's something else. I'm gonna check out The Peripheral, and if I really like it, it's a new Amazon Prime show. If I like it, then I'll start reviewing that too. Otherwise, we've got some shows coming up like Titans. I'm catching up with that show right now. I'm on season 3, so I've got some more stuff to review. It's just this is gonna be a slower few weeks for me coming up. I think we've gotten past the super busy point in my YouTube because I was reviewing like 4 shows at once. It's going to be a little different for a little bit, so it'll be a nice breath of fresh air for me. Sorry, I'm continuing to talk. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next video.